My name is Jennifer Zumberis. Today, our topic is on building a classroom culture, creating our community. For our students to be able to talk and to have civic and civil discourse and to be able to have really rich discussions where students share their opinion and back it with evidence, we have to have a classroom culture that's built on trust, on relationship. We're going to talk today about how to do that. We're going to look specifically at artifact bags. So what is an artifact bag? It's a bag of artifacts that teach about a person, a place, or an event. A lot of times I talk about using an artifact bag to introduce historical figures. This session, we're going to be focusing specifically on using an artifact bag to introduce yourself or to your students. Students bring a bag filled with objects that teach about them. You decide the specifics of exactly what you want to do or have included in the bag. The first thing we're going to talk about is how you can use those artifact bags to teach your students to look closely at artifacts. It's a great way to introduce see, think, or wonder, get to know one another, and to build that classroom community. It also teaches students to think like a historian, and it is a wonderful, very natural and authentic way to integrate ELA standards and skills within your social studies teaching. So if I were going to do this with my students, the first thing I would do is model it myself with my own artifacts. I have my artifacts here on the screen. I might say something, or my students might say something about, okay, what do you notice about the person, or what do you think about the person by looking at these objects? So my students might say something like they like to drink coffee. If they can read the word teacher, they might notice the word teacher on the handle of the cup and say, I think the person might be a teacher. Looking at the leash, they might be able to predict that the person has a dog. Looking at the thickness of the leash, they might even guess it's a big dog. So that's another way that they can make predictions. The last thing you see is a cookbook. They could actually turn the pages of the cookbook and they could see the pages that are dirty and know that those pages are pages that are used a lot. You want something that the students are going to have to make inferences on, just as a historian would. So how do you start? The first thing you want to do is think through the logistics. How long is it going to take? Are you going to do this all in one day? Are you going to set this out as a museum and the students go around the room looking at the object? Are you going to have them share the artifacts, or are you going to share the artifact and have the students guess what they know or guess who the person might be? What about your new arrivals? What about the students who don't come that first day of school, or what are you going to do to include them later? We also want to make sure that we're being careful about giving specific examples. You see on the right, I've got a quick letter that goes home to families to explain what we're doing. If you give too many specific, families will send those exact things. So you want to kind of let them be creative. Next, are you providing a bag? Lots of teachers do this with a Ziploc bag or with a brown lunch bag. Send a clear assignment to your families and have a plan for the students that don't bring back artifacts. What could you help them with so that they could teach about themselves if